Everybody, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about the structure of using the MongoDB in the Python. So let's get started. Previously, I talked about the MongoDB, and currently, I assume that you are familiar with the MongoDB. And suppose we want to use the MongoDB in the Python. To do that, we need to consider this structure. At the first look, this seems really scary and terrible. But don't worry about anything. After watching this video, you're gonna learn this great and amazing structure. Then in my upcoming tutorials, I'll talk about how to use the MongoDB database in the real project inside the Python. So let's do it. As you see over here, if you want to create the database application using the Mongo database and the Python, we need to build two main parts. First, the application side, then the database side. So at the database side, we have the Mongo database, and we can create it inside the Compass or the MongoDB shell and the Mongo. Suppose I have something like this database, the student, and inside it I have the student info, and I want to use the student info and show all of this data inside the application using the Python. To do that, we need to consider this structure. So we have created the Mongo database. Then we need to create the connection. The connection will be accomplished and will be done by the client. The client is the object inside the Mongo database. So the simple question is how we can get access to the client. We can do it easily by installing the appropriate module inside your Python. So after installing the MongoDB module on the Python, we can create the client. Then we can create the connection that has the appropriate data to get access to the MongoDB database, including the host name and also the port name. So we can create the connection using the client. After creating the connection, now my client knows where is the location of the MongoDB server and also where is the database and all the important matters about the database. So everything is ready for me. Then I can use the client to create the database. And by using the database, I can create the collection. And finally, by the collection, I can create the documents or load the documents and show it inside the application. So the main and very important part is the client. The main duty of the client is the database operations, like how to connect to the MongoDB database and also how to list the databases, how to select the database, and finally how to delete or drop the database. So most of the database operations are easily achieved by the client. After creating the client object, we have another object, and it is the database. And previously I talked about the database, and this is my database. You can see the students, customers up to the end. So as I told you previously, the structure of the MongoDB is different from the SQL Server or the MySQL and also the Oracle. Why? Because the MongoDB is NoSQL. In the NoSQL, we have the database, the collections, and inside the collections, we have the documents. So before doing anything, we need to create the database. We can create the database by the client object. So we're going to use the client to create the database. And after creating the database object, we can start working with the collections. So the main duty of the database is the operations of the collection, including how to list the collections, select the collection, and delete the collection. We can do all of this easily inside the Compass. For instance, I can come to this and I can drop that, or I can add the new one, and I come to the student here. Inside the students, I can add the new collection and delete that, and also I can get the list of the collections. All of these operations easily can be done by the database object inside the Python codes. So after creating the database application, we can get access to any collection that we want inside it. Then we can create the collection object based on my needs. Now I have the collection, and by the collection, I can get access to the operations of the document. The most common operations of the documents are the CRUD. The CRUD means create, read document, update, and delete. So these are the four main operations that we want to do with the documents and the data. Creating the document, reading and finding the document, updating and deleting. So we can easily use the collection object to create the document. Then we can read the document. To do that, we have the cursor object. By using the cursor object, I can list the documents. For instance, all of the documents. And also I can find the documents based on my needs and the filters, or I can search any documents that I want by the specific conditions. So the main duty of the collection is the document operations, and we have the three lists in it. The first one is the connection to the database, then creating the client, then the database and the collection. Finally, we can use the collection to get access to the documents. So up to now, I talked about all of these operations inside the MongoDB Compass. As I told you, we can create the database, and also we can create the collections inside the databases, and also we can easily use the JSON to add any documents here. Then I have the edit, the delete, and also other operations for working with the documents, like the search or the find, as I told you previously in the quick review of the Mongo section. So we learned how to work with the Compass to manage our needs and the MongoDB databases. It's time to work with it inside the Python. So we need to use all of these steps one by one. After reading the data, we can easily put all of them inside the result list. What is the result list? The result list is a kind of list in the Python that includes one or many documents. For instance, the document 1 to up to the end. And each document has the JSON format. And the JSON format inside the Python is the dictionary. So after running all of these codes and using the collection to load the data, we have the list of dictionary. So I have this one. It is the dictionary with 1, 2, and 3 key value pairs. And I have my field 1, field 2 up to the end. So this row is my first document, and also my second document, third document up to the end. Let's take another quick look at the result list. As I told you, after reading the documents by the cursor, we have the result list. So it has one or more documents, and each document is one row and has one or many fields inside it, something like this. The first record or the first document, and its format is like the JSON or the dictionary inside the Python. So the first document, second up to the end. Okay, excellent, congratulations. This was the quick tour about how to use the MongoDB inside the Python. It's a really important matter to watch this video one or more times to learn the structure of the MongoDB completely. Later in my upcoming tutorials, I'll talk about how to start using this great structure to create the MongoDB database and use it in the Python. And don't forget, you can't find this structure in all the websites or in the network by Googling that. Why? Because I created this chart and the structure based on my more than 2 decades of the programming experiences. So it's really great chance for me and you to learn the MongoDB in the Python. Don't hesitate to learn it. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to start working with the MongoDB database inside the Python by installing the MongoDB module on your application or the Python. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about the structure of the applications in the MongoDB and the Python. And also we talked about how to work with the MongoDB itself. So everything is ready for me, and I talked about this structure. At the first step, we need to create the client and the connection to the database inside the Python application. By default, the Python can't connect directly to the MongoDB. So we need to install another third-party module. And one of the best modules is the PyMongo module that is published by the MongoDB website. So if I take a look at the website and search inside the p.org, the PyMongo. So we have the PyMongo 3.12.0. In the future, you can see other versions. So it is the Python driver for the MongoDB from the mongodb.org, the official website of the MongoDB. So this is one of the most common and famous drivers or the connectors for working with the Python and the MongoDB. Previously I talked about how to install the modules with the different methods. So this is the official web page of the PyMongo, and you can see the pip code for installing this module, the pip install PyMongo over here. And also we have other descriptions and also the documentation for working with the Mongo module. So come over here and open up my project, and inside it I have the database apps folder, and I created the MS SQL and the MySQL databases for the different databases. I want to add the MongoDB to my current and existing project. Also, you can create the new project and start working with it no matter and no problem. So the database apps, right click on it, new, and create the directory and name it MongoDB. And press enter. This is my MongoDB. And before doing anything, let's add the new file to it, new, and the Python file. And name it, for instance, the Mongo and the basics. So this is the Mongo basics. Now I have the file and also my folder. But if I want to work with the MongoDB, we need to install the module. To do that, as I told you many times previously, we have different methods. First, I can come to the Python packages here, and after that, search the PyMongo. This is the PyMongo. So I have it over here, the PyMongo, and more description about it here in this window. And also I have the version. I can select the latest or one of these versions and click on the install. This is the simple and straightforward method for installing automatically the PyMongo on the current application and current project of the Python. And also I can come to the file and then inside the settings and my Hello World project. This is the Hello World project. You can see it over here. And inside the Python interpreter, I have all the available and installed packages and modules inside the current project, including the pip, and also I have all the matters like the PyODBC, previously I talked about this matter, and MySQL connector. So I need to add another connector, and I can come over here, click on this, and say the PyMongo. The same thing. And I have the PyMongo, and also some information over here. It is the Python driver, the latest version, and the author. So I can easily install it by clicking on the install package. And if I come over here, and after that, currently I have the pip that is installed inside this project, and its version is 21.1.3. But I have the newer version, 21.2.2. So I can upgrade my pip before using it to install any modules. To do that, come over here and click on the upgrade. Now after a couple of seconds, the pip will be upgraded. But don't forget, if you wanna use the installer like the pip upgrade or install any other modules, turn off your proxies or any VPN applications. It's really important and critical matter. Now the progress is over here and also the results here. After a couple of minutes or seconds, I have the pip and the updated version. It's a really great idea to update your pip before using it to install any packages. So it's upgraded successfully and click OK. Now if I want to install the module inside this project, so I have the terminal here. Click on the terminal, and inside it I can easily say the pip and the list. I want to get access to the list of installed packages inside this application. So I have this results over here. Now it's time to install the package. To do that, as I told you, we can use this code, the pip install the PyMongo. This part is common between different modules. So the PyMongo. Also, I have the results over here. If I take a look at the official website, the pip install PyMongo. And if I take a look at my project, I can easily say the pip, then space install, and the PyMongo. And if I use this terminal for installing the pip and my PyMongo, then the PyMongo will be installed inside this project only. But in addition, you can install the PyMongo globally to get access to it inside any new projects. So if you want to install the PyMongo and use it in every project that you want to create, then you need to open the command prompt. This is, and write the command, right click on it, and run as administrator. So I have the pip, and I can say the pip and the list. First I talked about this method. So this is the pip list, and all of these are installed as global modules. So after creating any new projects, these will be added and will be accessible inside the new project. So you can easily say the pip and install, then the PyMongo. And if you press enter, then the PyMongo will be installed and will be usable inside any new project. But personally, I prefer to use the PyMongo inside this and current project, not globally. So don't forget to turn off any proxies and VPNs. Now let's check everything from scratch. The pip install the PyMongo. I need to add the O over here and press enter. So successfully installed PyMongo and the version. Now let's check it, the pip and the list, and press enter. So I have the PyMongo and its version that is installed successfully over here. Congratulations, now everything is installed successfully and I can get to start working with it. Now let's check if it's installed successfully or not. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to check if the Mongo module is installed successfully or not. To do that, we can use the import method. So by using the import method, we can get access to any codes inside the PyMongo. So come over here, come to this one, and at the top, write the import. First, I talked about the import. So currently, I assume that you're familiar completely with the import. Also, you can refer to my previous tutorial to learn more about it. Import what? Import the control and space to see the list. And I have the PyMongo. Click on it. And my personal method is defining the new name for the Mongo and my object. So write the as what? As the MongoDB or the MD, for instance. No matter, or my Mongo. Everything is available. My Mongo. So you can write anything that you want. Now I imported the PyMongo as the my Mongo. So I can get access to any methods and indeed this object by the my Mongo inside my code. Don't forget to add the separator for better coding and also the my Mongo. So if I press the enter and add dot, in this list I can get access to the current and available methods, properties, and functions of the my Mongo. Currently, I don't want to work with all of this. So if I delete this and right click over here and run my Mongo basics, so I haven't any errors over here. It means that I successfully installed the PyMongo on this project. And if there is any errors, then you can see the errors over here, and it means you need to review your installation process. And this is a really tricky note. And also, as I told you many times previously, you can come to the terminal and easily delete and uninstall your PyMongo. To do that, easily write the pip uninstall and the pymongo. And the only change is uninstall over here. Instead of the install, use the uninstall and press enter. So do you want to continue? No, I don't want to continue. You can write the Y to continue and also the N to not continue. And this is the result. Also, you can come to the file and inside the settings, and here inside the Hello World project, this is my project, and the interpreter, and select your Mongo and easily click on this button, uninstall. Then everything will be uninstalled. But currently I don't want to uninstall it, and I prefer to start working with it. Congratulations, now everything is ready for me, and I successfully installed the MongoDB module on my application. So what about the next step? In the next step, we need to create the sample database inside the MongoDB Compass. Indeed, I'm over here and I need to start creating the MongoDB, and I successfully installed the module for creating the client and connecting to the MongoDB. So the first step is creating the MongoDB itself. First, I talked about how to work with the Compass to create the MongoDBs. It's really amazing and simple, and also a great tool. So it's certain good and start installing the pymongo module inside your application, and let's stay with me with my great and amazing upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily create a sample database in the MongoDB Compass for our project to use inside the Python. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to install the MongoDB module in the application in the Python. So it's time to talk about how to get started working with it. To do that, as I told you previously, based on this structure, we need two main parts. First, the database side, then the application side. And currently, I'm over here in the database side. In the database side, we need to create the MongoDB database. To do that, we can use the Mongo or the Mongo shell, or like me, I prefer to use the MongoDB Compass. By the Compass, I can create my database easily and quickly. So let's get started. Come over here and come to the Mongo Compass, and here I need to select my connection using the connection string by the default properties, or fill in the connection and use all of this. So come over here and select the connect. After a couple of seconds, let's be patient. So my connection is done. Now in this list, I can see the current and available databases also over here. So let's start working with the new database. Suppose I want to create the database for my employees. So come over here or come to this one, no matter, and say the employees. So I have the employees and the collection name. As I told you, we need to add at least one collection name to create the database, and say EMP info or employee info. And do you want to capped collection? No. Do you want to use the custom collection? No. And the time series? No. So create the database. First, I talked about these matters. And also I have the employees. If I click on it, currently I have one collection, and this is the storage size and the indexes. So click on the employees and the employee info. So I have the employee info, but I haven't any documents inside it. It means this is a kind of a table and it is inside my database. So if I want to add the data, I need to add some documents. First, I talked about this matter. So come over here and add the items one by one and the insert document. In this window, I can add my document to the collection, and this is my database and the collection. So by default, I have the ID, and this is the ID field. Let's select the Control, Shift, and the equals to zoom in for better result. Now I have the ID by default, so I can add my fields or key value pairs one by one, like the EMP ID. So this is the employee ID. And you know what, this is the auto-generated ID by the Mongo. As I told you, at least we need to add one ID column to the Mongo documents. And if you don't add this, then the Mongo will automatically add it over here. So let's leave the ID by default and add our own and custom employee ID, the EMP ID. Now before doing anything, don't forget to add the double quotations here and put the field name inside the double quotations and the value for it. Personally, I prefer to use the number or the integer for the employee ID, like 100 or 1 or 10 or anything that you want. So this is my employee ID and the 100. Also, I have some errors, so don't forget to add the comma after the first item and the field. Now if I take a look at the designer, so I have the auto-generated ID and my own employee ID. Also, I can continue working with this designer, and you can work with the designer quickly because everything is auto-generated. And also I have the data type, it is int 32, or you can use the bigger numbers like int 64. Or also you can use the double for using the decimal numbers and so on. So this is enough for me, and after that I need to add the first name or the last name. So I'll come over here and click on the add field after the employee ID and name it, for instance, the F name. So the F name is a string, and you can see by default it is a string here, and I name it, for instance, the Bob. So this is the Bob, and after that if I take a look at the next, so add field after the F name, let's name it, for instance, the L name. This is the L name and the Jackson. So the Bob Jackson. And after that I can add the age and the salary. So let's add the age, and you can see the age here, and it is the integer or the number like the 25. And let's select this and change it to the int 32. And also I can add the next field, and it is the salary. So this is the salary, you can see it over here, and it is the integer. Also you can add the number like the 2500. And if I take a look, and I have the int 32, or even I can use other data types like the double and also everything that you want, but personally I prefer to use the int 32. So this is, and finally we can add another field and name it the status. So come over here, come to this and add and name it the status. So the status is passed or failed. Let's write the passed. So I can use the failed instead of the passed or the passed. Let's select this and this. Now I have the status, salary, age, L name, F name, and employee ID. Everything is ready for me. If I take a look at the JSON view, so I have everything like this in the JSON format. Now let's insert, and it's inserted successfully. Congratulations, we did it. Now it's time to add the next one. So let's select this. To do that and to start my tutorial, I can come over here and I have the clone document. If I click on this, so do you want to clone? Yes. Let's change this one to 200 like this and name it the Alex, and also the last name to the Parker, and the age to another number like 20, and this one to 30,500, and the past also. And if I come and insert, so it's inserted automatically, quickly and easily. And also I can clone this data one more time, but it's time consuming. To speed up my tutorial, I stop the recording, so stay with me. Welcome back. I successfully added up to 6 documents, and you can see the documents count here and also here. So I have something like this, and also I can come to the JSON view and see the JSON format or the table view to see the table view. So I have the employee ID, the F name, and up to the end. Also I can leave some items as the null or nothing. To do that, come over here. Previously I talked about this matter and how to do that. So if I select this and copy, or the clone, so this is the clone, and let's name it, for instance, 700, and this is the Abby, let's name it, for instance, the Jet. So this is the Jet and the Lee, and it is, for instance, the 34, and this one, and also it is failed. But sometimes we can use the null or nothing for the data. For instance, I can select the Lee and leave it as the null, and this is the null. Previously I talked about this value, and if you don't want to assign any values to your keys or the fields, then use the null. So if I take a look at the designer, I have something like this, the null here, and you can see its data type is null. So you can write the null in the JSON or select the data type as the null in this list. You can see the null over here. And this is really tricky note. So the L name is null, and if I insert, also I can use another fields as the null. For instance, I can come and select this and clone and name it 800, and this time I want to assign the null as the next one, for instance to this one, and also I can name it here and here, and also I can add it here, and this is the null. So the null, and let's write something as the F name, like the Jack. So this is the Jack. Now I have the L name as null and the status as null. And if I take a look at the designer, the null and insert. So I have the new record up to 8 records. And if I select the table view, I have all of these up to here. And you can see the null, and also the null here up to the end. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we learned how to create our document inside the collection. So it's really great and amazing moment. Now I have the data, and indeed we completed this step successfully, creating the database site or the database inside the MongoDB. So the next step is talking about how we can connect the application to the MongoDB. To do that, we need to consider all of these steps and repeat all of these steps one by one. And the next one is using the client for connecting to the sample database. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to create the client for connecting to the sample database, and also how to check the databases, and finally how to protect the codes against the connection errors and all the errors. So let's get started. Previously, I talked about how to create the sample database. Now we are over here. We have the sample database, and the next step is creating the client. Then by the client, we can create the connection and connect to the database. It's really simple and straightforward. So let's do it. Come over here, come to this one. And previously I talked about how to use the import to import the PyMongo and name it MyMongo. So if I write the MyMongo, and we have the MyMongo here at dot, and in this list I can get access to the most common properties, the methods and functions of the Mongo client. So I need to use the Mongo client. You can see the Mongo client here. Click on it, and after that, if I add dot, in this list I can see the different properties and functions and methods for working with the Mongo client. But I don't want to work with these currently. Instead of that, I want to add the parentheses, and inside the parentheses I can add the connection properties, including the host, the port name, and so on. So I can add the connection parameters here inside the parentheses. To do that, I have two options. First, I can use the connection string. This is the connection string. Then I can use the arguments, including the host name and the connection port. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the MongoDB compass. Come to the connect and disconnect from this connection. Over here, I have the connection string. Previously, I talked about it. And by default, you can see some text over here. If I click on the edit and confirm, so this is the default connection string. And as I told you, the connection string is the text that includes the information to connect to the MongoDB. So I can copy from the beginning up to the slash over here. The first one is the server name and the connection port. So I can copy this part, something like this, and go over here and paste it inside this parenthesis. Now my client is ready and is created. So I need to assign it to another object and say my client and equals. So by using this line of the code, my client is created, and my client now is connected to the MongoDB, this local host, and this port. So if I right click over here and run. So this is the result without any problem. I have the connection. And also I can use the second method. So let's copy this and paste over here. This is my tutorial. Now let's comment the first one. So if I take a look at my compass, I have the second option. So click over here and I have the host name, and it is the local host, and the next one is the port. So I can use this as the argument and assign it to the client. Copy, come over here, select this and delete. Now this is my first one and it is the local host. Then at comma, it should be a string because it is the text. At comma, and the next argument is the integer or the number, and it is something like this. And the question is, how can I find this one? It's really simple and it's straightforward. Come over here and inside the port I have the port number. Copy and paste over here as the second argument. So this is the first argument and the second argument, and I need to assign all of this to the my client. Now I have the my client and I can start working with it. So I have more information over here, and if I come over here, right click and run. Now everything is working perfectly without any problem. What about the condition? If I have some error, for instance, let's write something like this or add some number here in the port. Right click on this and run. Without any problem I can run this code. But indeed this is not the correct information for connecting to the MongoDB. But I haven't any kind of the error in the result and in the console. I'll talk about later how to find the errors and protect your codes against the unexpected errors. So my client is ready for me, and you have the client and also the connection. What about the client? And as I told you previously, the client is responsible for the database operations, like connecting to the database, list databases, select database, and delete the database. Now I use the client to connect to the MongoDB. So we did it over here and it's done. And in the next step, we need to use the client to get a list of the available databases. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to use the client to list the databases available inside your MongoDB server. So let's get started. Indeed, I'm over here. Previously, I talked about how to create the client to connect to the MongoDB. In the next step, I need to get the list of databases. To do that, I can easily use the client, then the list database names. And the result is the list of the available databases, and I can easily print that. So let's do it in the action. Come over here, come to this one, and if I take a look, so I have the my client. Let's add some comments for a better result. And also my client. This is my client, and add dot. In this list, as I told you, I can get access to the available functions and methods of the client. And I want to get the names of the databases. So list database names and click on it. Now if I hover on this one, so I can see the list of the databases and get a list of names of all databases on the connected server, and the result is the list. So I can print this directly and say print and come over here at the parentheses. This method is really simple and straightforward. So if I click on the run, now congratulations, I have a list of the available databases inside my server, the customers, employees, students, admin, up to the end. And if I check it inside the compass, so let's connect, and after a couple of seconds I have the customers, employees, students up to the end, or all of this. So it's working. Also I can use the second method, and I can delete this and say my DBs or DBs, DB list equals to this and my client up to the end. So this is, and delete that. Now right click over here and run. So I have something like this. Without any errors, I run my application, but I haven't anything inside the console. So I need to come over here and print what? Print the DB list. And if I run, This time I have the result and a list of available and current databases inside my MongoDB server. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to get the list of the available databases inside the MongoDB. And we are over here and get database list. In the next step, we need to protect the code against the errors. And to do that, we can use the try structure. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to protect the codes against the connection errors or any other unexpected errors. First, I talked about how to create the connection and client and connect to the database, then get the list of the databases. But currently, my codes are completely unprotected, and if I have some errors, then my application will crash. For better understanding, let's come over here and change the local host to the wrong one and add a space here or the underscore. Currently, I have in such server. So if I come over here and run, after a couple of seconds, up to 30 seconds, and indeed up to 30 seconds. This is the default timeout of the MongoDB client connection. So after 30 seconds, I will get the error. Let's be patient. Welcome back. After 30 seconds, I have this error and you can see all of this and up to the end. So the errors, server selection timeout error up to the end. For solving this problem, we can easily use the try structure to prevent the unexpected errors and manage the error messages. To do that, I need this one, the server selection timeout, and this one up to here. So let's copy this, the server selection timeout. We can easily change the time needed for connection and paste over here. So the server selection timeout. Now come to this and add the simple try structure. So this is the try structure. Try what? Try this. And after that, the except. Except what? Except this one. So I have the try structure, and inside the try structure, I can define my client and the DB list. So let's select all of these codes and paste it inside the try structure. Also, I can use the first one, code, and paste over here. Now these codes are completely protected, but we need to add the exception over here. So use the uppercase E and the exception as the ERR or the error. And in the next step, we need to print the error and say print. If you don't know anything about the try structure, you need to refer to my previous section about the try structure. I talked about all of this in depth with many great tips and tricks and examples. So I have the print, let's write error and add comma, and finally the ERR and say the ERR. But it's better to convert the ERR to a string using the str function. And I use the str over here to convert this one to the string. Now my code is completely protected, and after that, it's a really great idea to add the finally. So finally do what? Do this. Currently I haven't any code, so let's add the pass. Then I can write my codes later. So don't worry about anything. So let's run my code one more time and right click over here and run. As I told you, the default server timeout is up to 30 seconds. So we need to wait up to 30 seconds to get the error. Stay with me. Welcome back. After 30 seconds, I got this error. The error, the local host, and the failed up to the end. And you can see by default, the timeout is 30 seconds. And also if I come over here, I can see all of these error descriptions. So it means my error is completely managed and I use this print message. So this is the error, you can see up to the end. And what is the timeout? The timeout is the time that the database or the client tries to connect to the server. And after the timeout, the connection will be ignored and escaped. So the timeout means, hello Python, please try up to 30 seconds and try to connect to the server. And if you can't connect, then return the error. And if you can connect, so return the client. Indeed, the timeout is really one of the most important properties of the connection. And it is the time that the client will try to connect to the server or return the error. So let's come over here. And by default, we can change the connection timeout. Currently, it is up to 30 seconds and it is a little bit high. So I can easily increase this matter. To do that, come over here and come to this one, the server selection timeout in the ms or the millisecond. We can add another argument to the Mongo client, and it is the server selection timeout ms equals to what? Equals to the millisecond, its value. So I can copy this one and right click copy, come to the code, and here inside the parameters and the arguments, add the comma and paste over here. So it is the server selection timeout based on the millisecond. Indeed, this one, the server selection timeout, and it has the ms as the millisecond over here, or the ms, it is the uppercase. And it means, hello Mongo client, please wait up to 2 seconds. And this number is based on the millisecond or the ms. And don't forget 1000 ms equals to 1 second. So 1000 ms equals to 1 second, and I use 2000, it means 2 seconds. And this is not too much for connection, and I can work with the higher numbers. Let's try using the small number and see the result. Right click over here and run. Now after 2 seconds, I have this error. No servers found yet, timeout, this. And you can see something like this. So this is the time that the MongoDB will wait to connect to the database or return the error. Also, I can increase it up to, for instance, the 5, or in the network conditions, we can increase it up to the 10 or 15 seconds. It is completely based on your needs. Currently, I'm working with the local server, so I can use the smaller numbers up to 5,000, or you can use the 15 if you want to work with the network, or you can use the 10,000. Everything is based on your needs. Now let's add the 5,000, and if I right click over here and run. After 5 seconds, I have the error. Let's be patient, error, no servers found. So if I come over here and delete this, so I have the local host with this port. Right click over here and run. Now without any problem, the next line is running, so I haven't any errors here. Also, for deeper understanding, I can add the breakpoint here and add some wrong item here. Now I have the local host, and come to the debug. Where are you, debug? Right click over here and the debug. Now after 5 seconds, so I have this line, and if I take a look at the next line, so this is the F8 or a step over. So let's be patient and let's see the result. So it is the result. Let's click on this one more time and the exception, and I have the error, and you can see the error over here. Come to the next and the error. So this is, and if I continue or stop it. Also I can correct this. Now I have this localhost, and if I debug my code one more time, so debug, this time I have faster results and this line is running. Go to the next line and print the database list. So go to the finally, and it means everything is done. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to protect the codes using the try structure. But there is another tricky note about closing the connection. So stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily close the connection to your server. So let's get started. Previously, I talked about how to connect to the database. And indeed, we are over here. We have the client and the connection. And after that, suppose I do all of these steps and I got the database result. then at the end of my operations, it's really great idea to close the connection. Then the MongoDB will release the memory usages and any other resources that are used by the connection and the client. To do that, we can come over here, and inside the finally, we can easily release any memories and the resources that are used by the client and say my client. This is my client, so say my client at dot, and after that I have the close. So if I click on the close, after calling the close, every resources including the memories and so on will be released automatically. So I can easily start working with my remaining codes. And don't forget, at the end of your code, close the connection to the server to release the memories and the resources that are used by the client. So if I add the breakpoint here, right click over here and debug. Currently I'm using the correct localhost and the port. So after a couple of seconds, I have this one, the close. And if I come to the next, so my connection is closed easily and quickly. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to close the connection. So we are over here. We created the client, we connected to the MongoDB, and we got the list of the current and available databases. And in the next step, we need to create the database. To do that, we need to select the database. Then we need the database to execute the collection operations. It's time consuming, so stay with me with my great and amazing upcoming tutorial about how to check if the database exists, then create the database object and so on. Thanks for your time. Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily create the database object, then check if the database exists, and finally how to create the collection object. So let's get started. Till now, I talked about how to work with the client and how to create that and how to connect to the MongoDB and Mongo server. And also I talked about how to list the available databases inside your MongoDB server. So I have created the client, and in the next step I want to talk about how to create the database and the collection. Indeed, if you want to work with the databases, you can do it by the client. Something like listing the databases, selecting database, and deleting the databases. So after the database, we need to work with the collections. And indeed, the collections is the next step. So we have the databases, and inside it, I have the collection. For working with the collections, we need to another object, and it is the database. The database is the parent of the collections. So by the database, we can execute the collection operations, like listing the collections, selecting the collections, and finally deleting the collections. And after creating the database, we need to work with the documents. So I have the collection object, and we need to create that. And after creating the collection, we can start working with the document operations like the create, read, update, and delete. So we have the client, and the next step is creating the database. It's really simple and straightforward. So I'll come over here and open up my documentation. And in the next step, I can easily create the database object. I have two methods for creating the database object. First, I can use the client, then the get database method, and after that, the database name that I want to create its object. And this is the first method. And after that, we can use the client, then the square brackets, and inside it my own and my favorite database name that I want to create its object. So after running one of these lines, then the favorite database object will be created. And I can assign it to another object like the S2DB or anything that I want. So let's do it in the action. Come over here and come to this one. Previously I talked about the client and how to get the list of the databases. Now I have the my client. I can easily come over here and say the my client. This is at dot. And previously I talked about how to use the list database names. In this video, I want to talk about how to get the database. So I have the get database and click on it. Inside the getDatabase method, I can write the database name that I want to create its object. So if I take a look at my compass, currently I want to work with the employees. So this is my favorite database, the employees. And also if I take a look at my codes here, so I can write employees. Also, if I right click on this and run my code, so in this line of the code, I have a list of the available databases. So I want to work with this one exactly. So copy and paste it inside this. Or you can write it from scratch like me. And if I hover on the getDatabase method, so I have the return value and it is the database. As the result, I need to create the new database object and assign the result to it and say empdb or employee database and equals. So it's done easily and quickly. Now my database is ready for me, but if I come over here and print the result, so print what? Print the empdb. If I add the dot, then I can get access to all of these operations for working with the collections inside the database. Indeed, the empdb is the object for my selected database and the employee, and it has everything that I want to work with the employee DB. For instance, I can get access to the collections, delete the collections, and all of these operations. List collection, the select collection, and delete the collection. So let's get it start working with that. Come over here, and I want to print the database, and if I right click on this and run. So I have the first line, and this is, and after that the database, and this line of code is indeed my employee DB. So if I scroll at the end, I have the employees here. Now come over here and select this, and also I can easily comment this out for faster and better result. Now let's see. So I have my database. Also I have another method, so I can do it. Come over here and say my client, and after that add the square brackets, and inside it write the database name that I want to create the object for that. And also I can assign it to another object like this. So if I run my application, the same result over here, and you can see the new object for my database. So both of these are identical and similar. You can use this one or this one, no matter, and no problem. So let's comment this. Now I have created my database object and everything is ready for me to get start working with the collections. But before doing anything, we need to check if this database exists inside the database list or not. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to check if the database exists inside my database names or not. So let's do it. First, I talked about how to create the database object to work with the collections. Now I have the database, but before doing that, it's a really important part to check if this database exists inside the database list or not. To do that, I can easily use the in. First, I talked about the in to check if the students, and this is my database name, inside the DB list. The DB list is the list of the databases, as I told you previously. That's I use the client and list database names to get access to the DB list. So let's do it. Come over here and open up my application. And before working with the database and creating the object for my database, add another if structure and say if my employees, this one, indeed my database name. If my employees is inside what? In the DB list. I have the DB list that I talked about in my first tutorial to get a list of the database names. So if my employee name is inside the DB list, then create its object. So I can come to this and create the object easily and quickly. Indeed, this if structure is for better result, and I can add it to be sure that the employee is the valid database. So if the employees is inside the DB list, then create the employee object, and after that let's put it over here and print the database. Or also I can change this one, for instance, up to here, or here. First I talked about the if structure, so you need to learn it. Now I have the if structure, and if I come over here and uncomment this one and run my application, so this is. Now I have the customers, employees up to the end, and indeed the employees is inside this list. Then this if structure is true and creates the empdb. And if I use the wrong name, for instance something like this, the employees, or at the underscore like this, and if I run, so nothing over here, and this database object is not created. Also I can add the else structure here and say else print the database not found, print database not found. So I can add the database name and say a student database not found. So this is the result because I'm using the wrong database name. And if I right click over here and run, now I have the student database not found. And if I use the correct name, so run, and I have the database object over here. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to check if the database exists inside the databases or not. And in the next step, I need to start working with the collection object. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to create the collection object. Indeed, we are over here and we created the database object, and inside it, we need to use the collection object. As I told you, if you want to work with the documents, we need to use the collection object. So let's do it. Come over here, and like my previous tutorial, we have two methods for creating the collection object. First, we can use the direct method using the database object, then the square brackets and my collection name, the student info for instance. Or we can use the get collection method of the database and the name of my collection, then assigning all of this to the collection name. This is the collection name of the student info. And in my example, I have the employees. This is my database, and we have created its object. So we have the employee DB. This is the database object of the employees. And after that, we need to use the next one. And the next one is my collection, the EMP info. I want to work with the employee info inside the database. Then I want to get access to all of these records and documents. Indeed, the main concern and the main goal of these codes is to get access to these documents. So come over here, and this is the EMP info. Come to this one, and after that, this is my employee info, and here add some comment and say the EMPDB. This is my database. Add dot. In this list, I can get access to the most common functions and methods and properties of my selected database. And in this example, it is the employee DB. The first one is the list collection names. So I can get a list of the available collections and click on it. Now I can assign it to another object and say, for instance, call list or collection list. And this is the result, call list, and this is the result. So call list, and I can easily print the result. Print what? Print the call list. This is the collection list. Now if I run, so I have the result. Now I have the customers, employees up to the end, and I have created the objects for my employees, and inside it I have only one collection, and it is the EMP info. Also I can change it. For instance, if I take a look at my example here, I have the customers, and inside it I have the CU income and CU info. So let's come over here and change this one to customers, and copy this and paste over here, for instance, and also that's enough. Yes. Now right click on this and run. So I have more information, and it is the CU income and CU info. Indeed, these are the collections inside my new database and the collections inside the customers. So till now I can get access to the database and every collections inside it. Now let's come over here and undo my operations, this is, and this is. So the next step is talking about how we can get the collection. As I told you previously, we can add the if structure to check if the collection exists inside the collection list or not. Then I can create the collection name. Before that, let's create the collection first. So I have the empdb, and let's say the empdb, my database at dot, and inside it I have the get collection method to get the appropriate and my favorite collection, and inside it I can write my collection name. And if I hover on the get collection, its return type is the collection of the MongoDB. So I can assign my collection name inside it to create the object for that. Currently I want to work with the employee info, so let's check it here. It is the emp info. So come to this one and write emp info. I want to create the object for this collection that exists inside my database. So the return value is the collection for the employee info. And also I can assign it to another object and say emp info. So this is, and the calls, or the collection, no matter, and no problem. So I have the emp info collection, and I get the object from my database and assign it to this one. Now I have the emp info collection, and I can get to start working with it. So if I write the emp info collection at dot, in this list I can get access to all of these methods and functions for working directly with the documents inside the collection. As I told you, after creating the collection, we can use it for working with the document operations like CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. All of these are for working only with the documents. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we have created the object for my collection. Like my previous tutorial, it's a really great idea to add the if structure and check if the collection exists inside my database or not. First, I talked about how to check if the database exists inside the database list. Now it's time to add another if structure and say if the emp info, this is my collection name, is inside what? Inside the collection list. Indeed, my collection list, as I told you previously, is this one. So come over here and inside this, if the employee info collection exists inside this collection, then do all of these options and integrate the collection. So this is for better and more secure coding in the Python. Up to here and exactly. Now I can add another else structure and say else what? Else print the collection not found. So this is the print and the collection not found. Which collection? The emp info collection. So the emp collection not found. Also I can print the emp info collection, but it's not practical. I just want to show you that it's working. So print the emp collection, this one. Now if I right click over here and run, after a couple of seconds I have all of these results. So this is the emp info, indeed my collection name, and also the collection itself. So this is the collection itself, and if I scroll I have up to here. And also for better results I can add some separator, and this is my previous print. I can add another print after that to separate my code. So this is my print and the separator like this, and copy and add it after my second if structure over here. Now if I right click over here and run, so I have better result and I have the collection. You can see the collection here, and it is this line of the code. And if I use the wrong name, for instance this over here, and after that right click over here and run. So I have this error. The employee info collection not found. Congratulations, now I have successfully created the collection object, and it is this one. As I told you previously, we can use the second method to create the collection, and it is using the square brackets like this. It's not necessary, but we can use it. To do that, come over here, and this is my collection, so I can use the empdb, my database, then the square brackets, and inside it my emp info. So this is the emp info. Now I can assign it to another object, and this is the result. So both of these are identical and the same thing. Now let's come to this and comment it out. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we have successfully created the collection object. So everything is ready for me to start working with the documents inside the collection. We have everything that we need. We have the database object for working with the collections, and we used this one to create the collection object. And also we have created the collection object to start working with the documents like create, read, update, and delete. So everything is ready for me. So the next step is creating the cursor object for reading and loading the data inside the result list. Then we can print the result out inside the console of the Python. And indeed we are over here. Step 9 to create the cursor object. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Now certainly go ahead and start working with the database object and collection object, and stay with me with my upcoming tutorial. And don't forget, the only thing you need to become the great and amazing Python programmer is your effort. So try, and try. And if you could not understand everything from this tutorial, it means you need to watch this video more than one time. So watch it 2 times, 3 times until you learn all of this. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to create the cursor object for loading the data, then how to show the documents in the Python application. After that, I'll talk about how to sort the result documents, and finally, I'll talk about how to customize the fields to show in the Python. So let's get started. Firstly, I talked about how to create the collection object and also the database object. In this video, it's time to talk about how to create the cursor object. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the structure. We have the database and the collection. As I told you, the collection is responsible for the document operations, like the CRUD operations. And the CRUD means create, read, update, and the delete. My intention of this tutorial is not talking about how to create, update, and delete the documents, because we did all of this inside the MongoDB compass over here easily and quickly. My intention is talking about how to read the data, how to find the data. To do that, we need to create the cursor. So the cursor is responsible to list the documents and search and find the documents. Then we have the result list, something like this. And inside the result list, I have the documents from first up to the end. And each document is something like this, a list of the dictionary. So this is my first dictionary, second, third, up to the end. And this format is the JSON or the dictionary inside the Python. So let's get started creating the cursor and start our great journey to the wonderland of the data. So come over here and come to my application, and currently I have the emp info collection or the employee info collection, and I printed the result. Let's select this and comment that out. And inside this if structure, I can add my code. So let's add some kind of the comments and create the cursor. So this is create the cursor, and this one is create the collection. You know what, adding the comment is really great and will save a lot of time for you to get access to the functions of your codes. So create the collection, and here create the database. or the DB. Create the DB first, then create the collection and create the cursor. So we are over here. You know what, if you want to be the great and professional programmer, you should learn to add the comments, and inside the comments add your documentation and explanation for your codes. It's a really important matter. So the create cursor, and we need to use our collection. So we have the employee info collection object. Indeed, we have something like this, the employee info collection. And if I take a look, let's be patient. So everything refreshed. And also I can come to the employees, and this is the employee info. I have this collection and I want to get access to the data and documents inside it. So let's create the cursor. Come over here, and this is my employee info. So let's write emp info collection at dot. Inside this list I can see the most common functions and methods and properties of the collection. Which collection? The employee info collection. So first I want to find the data. To do that I have the find method. Click on it, and inside it I can add my arguments. Let's take a look at my example over here. We can easily create the object by the find method. So if you use the find method without anything inside it, something like this, then every data and all of the documents will be loaded inside the cursor. So I have the cursor over here. Also you can use the empty curly braces, and this is the sign or the symbol of the JSON, and it means that hello Python, please load everything and every document inside this collection and return the result and assign it to the cursor. So creating the cursor is really simple and straightforward, and loading the data into it. So I'll come over here, and this is the find. It will load every document. So let's write load all docs or documents. Now it's time to assign it to the cursor, and I have the cursor here. So I have the cursor object. And after that I can use the curly braces inside it like this. So both of these are identical, and it means hello Python, please load every document inside this collection and assign it to the cursor. So both of these are identical. Now let's select this. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to create the cursor object and load all of the data. In the next step is talking about how to show the loaded documents in the Python application. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to show the loaded documents inside the Python application. For better understanding, let's take a quick look at the example and structure here. After creating the cursor and running the find method, then all of the data and documents will be loaded inside the result list. The result list indeed is inside the cursor, and it is responsible to hold the data. So I have the document 1, document 2 up to the document n. And we have something like this, a structure inside each document. This is the curly braces, and my document has the JSON format or the dictionary format. So the result list is a list of dictionaries, and you can see over here, this is my first record or the document, and the second one up to the end. And also I have the field 1, field 2 up to the end. So this is something like the compass, and if I take a look, it is something like this JSON structure. Indeed, I'm gonna load all of this inside the Python code and the Python application. So I have the curly braces at the beginning and also at the end. And also I have all of this data, and it is something like the dictionary inside the Python. So don't forget, the dictionary is something like the JSON in the MongoDB. So I have the result list and something like this, and it is the list. As I told you previously, we can use the for loop structure to go through all of these items one by one. So we have something like this code. We have the for loop structure, and I can say for each document in the cursor, print the documents. So the document is one document, and indeed one of this or this up to the end. And the cursor is all of this. And as I told you, the result list is inside the cursor. So come over here, come to my code and say show data, show docs, or the data, no matter, and add some comment like this, and say the for loop structure for each document or the doc. This is only the name, so you can write anything that you want. In what? In the cursor. So in the cursor, and print what? Print the doc. So this is the current document inside the cursor. So if I take a look, everything looks amazing, and it's really great before printing the result. Add some another print as the separator, and like this, for instance. And also I can copy and paste it after the for loop structure to separate my new and the old codes. So let's say show docs or the docs. Now if I right click over here and run, after a couple of seconds, let's see the result. I have this error, the EMP info collection not found. Let's see what's going on inside my code. And great. So this is the wrong name for my employee info collection. Let's select this and write the correct one, EMP info, exactly like this, the EMP info. Okay, excellent. Now right click over here one more time and run. After a couple of seconds, congratulations, we did it. Now I can see all of my records and all of my documents from the first up to the end easily and quickly. Indeed, it is the list of the different dictionaries. So this is my first document, and each document is the dictionary. So this is the starting curly braces, and also if I take a look at the end, you can see another one here, and all of these are the JSON format, or indeed in the Python like the dictionary. So this is the first dictionary. You can see the key name and the value separated by the comma, and the second key name, the colon, the value separated by the comma up to the end, and you can see something like this. And also if I take a look at my code, create the cursor and the cursor, I can print the cursor itself. Let's see the reaction of the Python. So come over here, and before the for loop structure, say print what? Print the cursor. Let's see the reaction of the Python. Right click over here and run. Now I can see something like this, and the cursor data type is the object. So if you want to get access to all of the data inside the cursor, you need to use the for loop structure. And if you print the cursor itself, you can see its data type and some other valid information about it. Let's select this and comment it out. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to print the documents inside the cursor. And the next step is talking about how we can sort the result. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now we learned how to show the documents inside the cursor. But let's talk about another tricky note. As I told you previously, in the SQL and the MySQL databases, the cursor is a one-time object. So if you get access to the data inside the cursor, then the data will be erased and will be deleted after reading them. And for better understanding, let's take a quick look. This is the first time that I'm gonna use the data inside the cursor. And after that, if I repeat these codes one more time, then nothing will be happened. And come to this. So I use the for loop structure 2 times, then the result can be only 1 time. Why? Because after reading the data by these codes, then the cursor will be empty and the result of this code will be nothing. Let's see, come over here and the run. Now let's see the reaction. So I have something like this from the docs, and from here up to the end of docs. Also I can print another separator for better understanding, and this is, and if I come over here, so I have the first records or the documents up to this one, indeed this, and nothing for the second for loop structure. Why? Because the cursor is a one-time object, and if you read the data, then the data inside the cursor will be deleted. And what is the solution if we want to work with the data more than 1 time? The solution is really simple. We need to create the list. So if I take a look at the cursor here, I can easily create the list. For instance, I can come to this and say the list of what? List of the cursor. So this code and the list will convert the cursor to the list, and I can assign it to another one like the L, for instance. Now I can use the list or the L multiple times. For instance, I can come to this and say for each document inside the list, print the doc. Or even I can come to the next one and say the same thing. For each document inside the list, print the doc. Now let's see the result. Come over here and run. If I take a look, so I have the first print the docs up to here indeed. Then I have another for loop structure and repeat the same thing and print the documents up to the end, indeed up to here. It means that if you want to work with the data inside the cursor more than one times, then we need to convert that to the list. And you can read the data inside the list as many as numbers that you want. So don't forget to consider this really tricky note. Now let's undo, and this is the result. So let's comment this. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. I enjoyed a lot. Really, I'm enjoying because I'm talking about the new matters for you, and I'm really happy that I can help you to become the great and amazing programmer by learning how to use the MongoDB inside the Python. So I have all of these, and I can easily come to this and delete. So let's select this and all of this. You know what? If you want to create the amazing and great application, you might spend some time for aligning your codes, for adding the documentations like this and separating your codes by comments and adding some descriptions. So it's really tricky. Note, don't forget to add something like this. And after that, check your codes frequently. I have changed some changes here. So run and let's see the result. I have all of the documents from the top up to the end. And let's select this. I don't need it. And run my code one more time. So this is the result. You know what? If you want to create the enterprise applications, maybe you need to spend more than 1 year, like 2 years, 3 years up to the end. So it's really important matter to be patient and check your codes frequently to decrease your errors and the bugs. With the best wishes, stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to easily sort your result documents. Let's get started. First, I talked about how to load the data and how to show all of the documents inside the console. But sometimes we need to sort the data. By default, the data is not sorted. So if I take a look at the data, all of these aren't sorted. And most of the cases, we need to sort the documents by the specific column. To do that, I have really simple and a straightforward method using the sort. Sort is the method of the cursor. So you can write something like this or add it in the second line. Sort, and inside the sort I need to write the column to sort, then add comma and the sort type. The positive one means ascending from the A to Z, and the negative one means descending from Z to the A. Then I can print the result. And don't forget, the sort method will be executed before showing the data. So let's do it. Come over here and come to this one. And currently I have the find method here. So I need to sort my documents here. To do that, I can add the dots after the find, then the sort. And inside the sort, I can add the options like the column name, the first one, and the second argument is the sort type. So the first argument is the key name or the field name to sort. If I take a look at the result over here, I have all of this information, but I need to use the field name or the key name. So come to this one, and after that, if I take a look at this, come to the designer. So I have the employee ID, the ID up to the end. I can easily use the F name, for instance, or the L name. So let's select the F name, copy, and come to my code and paste over here. In the second argument, I need to assign the sort order. As I told you, it has two options. First, positive one, and it is for the ascending order from the A to Z, and negative one for the descending order. So if I take a look at my code and write the 1, now my documents will be sorted by the fname field in the ascending order from the A to the Z. So currently it is the Bob, Alex, Mary, and these are completely unsorted. And if I right click over here and run, so this time let's check, it is completely sorted, the Abby, the Alex, Bob, Jack, up to the Sarah. So it means my documents are sorted by the fname field. Also, if I use the negative one, so right click over here and run, now I have the descending order. The Sarah is first, from the Z up to the A. Abby is the last item. Okay, excellent, congratulations. So this was the first method. Also, you can use the second method. To do that, come over here, copy this, and after that, paste over here. And also, you can comment this and go to the next line here indeed. And the sort is the method of the cursor. So I have the cursor, and my data is inside the cursor, as I told you previously, because the cursor is responsible for the data. So if I take a look here at the dot after the cursor one more time, I can't see anything because of this error. And let's delete that and add it one more time. So in this list, I have all of these operations, methods, and functions, and I can use the sort. So the sort is the method, you can see the M over here, of the cursor. And it means let's select this and this. So sort by this one. And it is the cursor, and don't forget to delete this. And you know what? The sort is the function. So if I hover on it, you can see its return type is the cursor. So currently I don't want to work with the return value. Now let's say the result. Right click over here and run. So let's say the result. Now it is in the descending order with the fname. So it is the Sarah up to the Abby. Also I can change it something like this and the run. So I have the reverse result, the Abby up to the S, the A to the Z in the descending order. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to sort the documents using any field that I want. Also, we can change the fname to another item, and we need to check the field name. For instance, I can sort by the age and I copy, or by the salary. So come over here and the salary. If I right click and run, now all of these are sorted by the salary field. And where is the salary? Let's check it. This is the salary from the small one to the bigger numbers. Also, I can say the negative one, so the reverse value, and let's check it from the big number to the smaller numbers easily and quickly. So we can use any field that I want. Let's check it, and this is the fname. Well done. Now we learned how to sort the documents based on any fields that I want. And in the next step, I'm going to show you how to customize your fields to show inside the console. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to customize the field to show inside the console and the result. So let's start. Previously, I talked about how to use the find method to load all of the data and how to use the for loop structure to show the documents inside the console. So we have something like this as the result. And as you see over here, I have all of my fields from the ID up to the status. Indeed, all of this Vario compass, the ID up to the status from all of my documents. But sometimes we need to customize and select the custom columns and the custom fields. Then we can do it easily and quickly. To do that, let's take a quick look at the example here. We can easily customize the field after finding them. So in the find method, previously I talked about how to use this simple find method to load all of the records. But we can add another second argument to select any columns and any fields that we want. So I use this empty curly braces. It means to load all of the documents. As I told you, we can use the find method with the parentheses or with the curly braces inside the parentheses. Both of these are identical, and we can use these to load all of the documents. So I have it over here, and at the comma, after that I have another curly braces, and inside it I have the dictionary, a dictionary of the fields that I want to show inside the result. So the first one is the column name or the field name to show, the colon and the value. The value can be 0 or 1. The 0 means exclude this field or the key. And after that, add the comma and the second field name at the comma and the status. So the 1 means hello Python, please include this field inside the result, and the next field to show. So don't forget, this is the dictionary to customize the columns and the fields to show. Let's do it in the action. Come over here and come to this one. As I told you, inside the find we need to add it. So this is the find, and don't forget to add the curly braces to show all of the documents, add the comma, and inside this I need to add another dictionary and select the columns to show. Suppose I want to select only the employee ID and the first name and the salary, for instance. So come over here and select the employee ID, come to this one and add it here, the employee ID. Then add the colon and the status. 1 means include this, and 0 means exclude or delete this column or don't show. So let's select the 1. And if I right click over here and run, wow, what happens? I have only the ID, and this is the auto-generated ID, and the employee ID. So by default, if you use this one, then the auto-generated ID will be included in the result because it is necessary. Also, you can hide it. To do that, this is the ID field. Also, you can see it over here, the ID. You can easily hide that. So I can say the ID like this now. Add the comma here, and before that or after that is not important matter. Add the underscore ID, and this is the ID, then colon, and as I told you, put the 0 here. It means hide this column, and 1 means show this column or the field. Right click over here and run. Now I have only one field or the column here, and also I can add the next one. And if I set this one as the 0, let's say the reaction of the Python. So I haven't any column to show or any fields to show. So this is the results. If I haven't anything to show, I have the remaining items and the remaining fields to show automatically. So this is a really tricky note. And if I come over here and add the next one, suppose I want to show the next one, and it is the L name or the first name. No matter, I can select the L name and the L name here and the colon here and the 1 or 0. Let's select the 1 and add the comma, and also I can select the salary. So this is the salary and the double quotations. Let's put it inside the double quotations. Great. And the colon and the 1. So if I right click over here and run, now I have the custom number of fields over here in the result. The first one is employee ID. The next one is the last name and the salary. So I have 1, 2, and 3 columns or the fields to show inside the result list. And it looks amazing, professional, and great. Congratulations, we learned a lot. Now we know how to customize the number of columns and fields that we want. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about the last step, and it is how to close the cursor. First, I talked about how to close the connection and the client. As I told you, after creating the client, we need to close it at the final step and after running all of the codes. Also, we need to repeat this step for the cursor. If I take a look at my cursor, currently I have the cursor, and if I take a look at the structure, we need to destroy, or we need to clear, or we need to release all the resources, including the CPU resources or the memory resources that are used inside the cursor. So we can do it, and we can release everything that are used by the cursor by closing it. Previously, we talked about how to close the client. Also, we need to close the cursor. And where's the location to do that? The best location, and indeed one of the best locations, is the finally. So in the finally, before the my client, I can close my cursor. So I have the cursor, you can see the cursor here, and if I come over here, I can say the cursor dot, then the close, easily and quickly. So I close the cursor here, and also I can close the cursor at the end of my code over here inside the try structure, for instance over here, and this is another location, but personally I prefer to close it over here inside the finally structure. And don't forget, like my previous tutorial, if you close any cursor, then you can't use it anymore. For instance, if I take a look at my code, currently I have the cursor, this is my cursor, and if I take a look at this code, I have the cursor and I loaded the data, then I use the cursor to print the result. If I close the cursor before using it, for instance over here, let's see the reaction of the Python. If I right click over here and run, now after a couple of seconds, nothing over here. Why? Because I closed the cursor, and it means, hello Python, please kill the cursor, or please clear everything that is inside the cursor, including the memory, CPU usages, and many other matters. So never close the cursor if you wanna use it later. And this is a really tricky note. Let's select this and this easily and quickly. Now if I run, so let's see the reaction, and everything is working perfectly. Okay, excellent, congratulations. Now my mission is accomplished successfully, and we learned a lot about how to work with the cursor. But there is another matter that we need to learn, and it is how to search the documents. First, I talked about this matter inside the MongoDB Compass and how to use this search text box to search the values inside my documents. We can create something like this, but inside the Python, and we can do it easily and also quickly. It's time consuming, so let's talk about it in my upcoming tutorial. Now, start and go and start working with the cursor and practice everything that you learned in this tutorial, and stay with me with my amazing upcoming tutorial. Thanks for your time. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I want to talk about how to easily write the Python code to search the documents inside the MongoDB database. So let's get started. Till now I talked about how to create the client, the database, the collection, and how to load all of the data and the documents inside the Python application. For the final step, I want to talk about how to use the cursor to search the documents. It's really great and amazing part of the cursor. So let's do it. If I take a look at my codes over here, I can easily search the items by two methods. First, find the exact value, then find the similar value. We talked about these matters inside the MongoDB Compass. So suppose I have something like this, and it is the employee info, and I have all of these documents. So I have the f name, and I can easily search the f name. So I have this structure, the curly braces, then the field, then the colon, and the value. Previously I talked about this matter, so you can refer to my previous tutorials about how to search the data inside the Compass. So I need to add the curly braces, the field, and the value. And also we have something like this. We can use the collection object and the find. Then inside this dictionary I have the field name, then the colon, and the value to search. This is the find exact value. So I can find the exact match or the exact item inside my documents. Then I can print the result easily and quickly. So let's do it. Come to the PyCharm, and for better result, let's add the new file. So right click over here, add new, and the Python file. and say the search data. So it is the search data. To start my tutorial, come to the Mongo Basics, select everything and copy inside the search data. So I need all of this, and indeed if I take a look, I have the try structure, the client, and after that I have the employees up to the end. I can easily delete the unused. So these are the unused parts of my code. I don't need all of this. So this is, and after that I have the print. Let's select this and delete that. And also I don't need all of this, and select and delete. And also I don't need all of this. So this is. Now I have better code and also a smaller one. So I want to search inside the employee info, and I have the fname. And this is the find method. Indeed, I need to find the data before showing it by this code. You know what? Currently, I assume that you watched my previous tutorial. So if you don't know anything about this, don't hesitate to watch my previous tutorial. Inside the find method, exactly here, I added the curly braces, so you can write anything that you want inside these curly braces. And also you can customize your columns and the fields, no matter and no problem. Or even you can use the simple find method like this, copy and paste over here, no problem. And you can write anything that you want inside these curly braces. So all of these are identical, and in the second one I have custom number of fields inside the result. So let's select this and delete that, no matter and no problem. And inside the find I have this one, and let's select the column and the field to search. I have all of these fields that I want to search. For instance, I want to search inside the L name. So let's select this and paste over here. And after that the colon, then the value. This is the string, so I need to add the double quotations here. So if I take a look at the results here, and I have the last name like the Mir, the Parker, and the None, and also the Lee. I can write the Lee. So this is the Lee, and I want to search and find exactly the Lee. So if I right click over here and run my code, after a couple of seconds, congratulations, I have found this one. So the employee ID, the L name, the Lee, and the result. Also, you can select this and add the parentheses and comment the remaining. So I can get access to all of my columns and the fields. And you can see all of them over here and up to the end. And this is really tricky note. So let's select this and delete that. So I have the custom number of items, and I have only the L name, the salary, and the employee ID. Also, I can search in other items like the, for instance, salary. So this is the salary, copy this and paste it over here. And this is the salary, and is it the integer? So copy this and paste it inside it exactly here, because this is the integer column and the field. Right click over here and run. Now I have the same result, and you can see it here. If I write the wrong number like this number, let's see the reaction. Right click and run. Now I have nothing here. Why? Because I haven't any salary with this value. And if I change it and run, so I have something like this, exactly this match. Congratulations, we did it. Now we know how to search the exact value. And the next step is talking about how to find the similar value. It's time consuming, so stay with me. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about how to find the similar values inside your documents. So let's get started. First, I talked about how to use the find to search the exact value. But most of the cases, we need to find the similar records and similar documents and values. So we can use the find with the regex expression. So the structure is like my previous tutorial, and inside the find I need to add the curly braces from here up to the end. Then I need to assign my field name to search, then the colon. But this is the difference between this one and my previous tutorial. We need to add another dictionary inside my first dictionary, and this is another dictionary up to here, and it includes the regex as the key name. So this is the key name up to here, then the colon and the value to search. So this search means, hello Python, please search any documents that has the f name everywhere or like to this one. So every f name that has the MA will be returned as the result. Then I can print the results over here. Now let's do it in the action. Indeed, the only difference is this part, using another dictionary and the regex. So let's do it. Come over here, come to this one. Suppose I want to find the similar records and documents. So this is the simple one. To do that, I can come over here and let's copy all of this and paste over here. And also I can add some comment and say search exact value. And the next one is search similar. So paste over here, then copy this, and after that here, search similar value. So let's comment this one. Now I have the new method, and inside the find I have the salary equals to the value. So instead of this value I can change my field, and suppose I want to work with the L name. So let's copy this and paste over here. Now I have the L name, then the value. If I take a look at the new example over here, if I want to search the similar, as you see over here, I need to use my column name or the field name, then the colon, and I have another dictionary to search the similar records. So let's come over here and come to the L name, then the colon, and inside it I don't need this one. So the L name data type is a string. As the result, I need to use the string values to search. But don't forget to add the curly braces one more time. So inside the new dictionary that is started by this curly braces, then I can use the reg expression, the colon, and the value inside it. Suppose I want to search the A. So this is the search value, and here I need to use the regex, and it is the keyword, so we need to use it exactly like this, the dollar, then the regex. So come over here and say the $, then the regex, exactly like regex. You need to insert the correct regex here. Now I have the regex and I want to search the A. All of this means, hello Python, please search the L name field and search any similar letters that is like the A. Or hello Python, please search the L name field and find any letter A inside any location of the L name field or the key. So this is the result. And after that I need to close the parentheses, and suppose I don't wanna customize the columns and my fields. So you can see something like this over here, and I wanna use all of the columns and the fields. So we need to add the parentheses exactly here, and after that we need to use the comment to comment the remaining codes. And this is the simple one. Also we can use the custom number of columns and the fields as I told you previously. So let's talk about the simple one. And after running this line of the code, the Python will find any last name that has the letter A everywhere inside it, regardless of its position. Now let's run the code and let's see the result. Right click over here and run. So I have the result. You know what, if you got any unexpected errors and if you did something wrong in your code, then you can see the errors inside the result. So don't worry about anything if you got any unexpected errors. It means you need to check your codes to find the exact location of your error. And to be honest, after 2 decades of the programming experiences, The programming is creating the bugs and solving them. This is the reality of the programming. So don't be disappointed if you got any unexpected errors or the bugs inside your code. Just try to find the location of the error and easily solve it. So I have the result here, and I want to find the letter A everywhere inside my last name. So I have the last name, the Parker, the A, and the Jackson. Also, I can use the E, for instance, or ER. Now search the ER everywhere inside the last name. So I have the Mir and the Parker as the result. Okay, excellent. Congratulations. Now we learned many great tips and tricks. And for the final tip and trick, I want to talk about how to customize the results and the fields. So I talked about this matter previously. The only thing you need is adding the second argument to the find method. And we have something like this. If I take a look and let's delete this, and now I have two arguments. First to find, and this is the filter, then the custom number of the fields up to here. This is one dictionary and this is another dictionary. So this is really tricky and amazing. Now if I right click over here and run, so I have the result like the Mir and the Parker. Also you can use another values like the AR, no matter, and the AR, right click over here and run. So this is the result. Only I have the Parker, the AR, or I can select the E. And if I right click over here and run, now I have many records as the result. So this is the Mir, Parker, Lee, the White, and the Markson. Congratulations, we did it. Now we learned how to search the documents inside the MongoDB database and the documents. So it's really practical and amazing. Don't hesitate to learn it. Now my mission is completed successfully, and we learned how to start working with the MongoDB database and how to create the client database and collection and search the data and load them inside the Python interpreter and the console. So far we learned many great and amazing tips and tricks for working with the MongoDB in the Python. But as I told you many times before, the main key to become the amazing and the professional programmer in the Python is your effort. So try, and try. With the best wishes. Thanks for your time.